Hey guys, Dr. J here. Today I'll be showing you a variety of ways of killing the Old Monk, the final boss in World 3. It's important to stress that they only work if you're fighting the AI version of this boss. If you're playing on the community server and you're facing a real person, obviously things will be different. The AI version of this boss is basically a Black Phantom. He'll be using the Claws weapon and the Homing Soul Arrows spell. The claws are pretty weak, but the homing soul arrows can deal quite a lot of damage if you let all of them hit you. I'll be demonstrating a couple of melee strats and one ranged strat. We'll start off with using a sword and shield. Ideally, you have the rune shield, since it has high magic resistance. But if you can't use it because of its stat requirements, the Dark Heater Shield Plus 2 is a good alternative. Okay, I think we're ready, so let's go through the fog gate and start the fight. The easiest way to deal with this boss when you're using a shield is to block his first attack and then start slashing him with your sword. If you're using a fast weapon like a sword, you can start attacking immediately after you block his claw. Occasionally, he'll be able to dodge your slashes, but if you just continue attacking him, he's bound to get hit. Of course, if you're using a slower weapon, you'll probably need to time your attacks a bit more carefully. At some point, he'll start using his Homing Soul Arrows spell. First, he'll only summon a couple of them, but as his health starts getting lower, he'll increase the number of arrows until it reaches 5. If you have a shield with good magic resistance, the easiest way to deal with them is just by blocking. But forcing them to activate and then dodging them is also not difficult. And that's pretty much it. Near the end of the fight, the boss will start dodging your attacks after the second consecutive slash. He's doing it pretty consistently, so that would be a great time for using a healing item. Oh, and he actually does have a close attack that you should watch out for. It's an uppercut that can go through your shield. It has a long wind-up time, so it's easy to avoid. I got a little bit too cocky here and let him combo me, which is actually a bit dangerous. I'm trying to make some space so I can use a healing item. It shouldn't be too difficult, but a single mistake here may kill me. Thankfully, I managed to do it, and I'll be a bit more cautious for the rest of the fight. There we go. From this point on, he'll start dodging my third consecutive attack pretty much every time. He'll also start aggressively rolling towards you, following it up with an attack. So you should either dodge as well, or make sure you have enough stamina to block it. Okay, this time I managed to hit him with the full 4-hit combo. And I got a bit overconfident again. The good thing about the Rune Sword and Rune Shield is that they increase your magic defense by a lot. So even if we do get hit by all 5 soul arrows, it still won't do too much damage. Okay, we only need a couple more hits to kill him. And he's dead. Well, that was the simple Sword and Shield strat for killing the boss. It's nothing fancy, and you don't really need any specific equipment to be able to pull it off. But it works very well against him, so you shouldn't have too much problems defeating him using it. Next, I'll show you a much simpler and faster way of killing the boss. You will need a specific weapon though. For the next strat, we'll need either the Dragon Bone Smasher or the Meat Cleaver. I'll demonstrate it using the Dragon Bone Smasher, as it is much easier to obtain, provided you've reached World 2-3. Actually, if you wanna craft the Meat Cleaver, you'll have to reach World 2-3 anyway, so... But I digress. The idea here is to use a very heavy weapon capable of knocking down the boss. It's super simple to do it with the Dragon Bone Smasher. You just have to wait for the boss to start approaching you and then press the R2 button. It's almost guaranteed he'll get hit and knocked down. Then you just step away from him and wait for him to come near you again. The only thing you should be careful with is his Homing Soul Arrows. If you attack him at the wrong time, they may hit you before you're able to dodge them. Also, I believe that, with the proper timing, it may be possible to chain knock down him, but I haven't tried it, so I'm not certain. And that's the other thing you should watch out for. Try to not attack him while he's strafing. If you only graze him with your attack, he'll still take damage, sure, but he won't get knocked down. And that was it. Like I said, it's super simple, fast and easy. As long as you have a weapon like the Dragon Bone Smasher and the stats to use it. Next, I'll show you the ranged strat. I'll be using footage from my walkthrough again. There's nothing special we need to prepare for this fight. My equipment is as usual, the crisp blade, the wooden catalyst and the ring of magical sharpness. Unlike most of the other bosses, this one is actually more difficult to fight with a ranged weapon than with a melee weapon. That's because he's actually pretty good at dodging projectiles. Your best bet would be to time your attacks during one of his actions. Perhaps the easiest would be to stand barely outside of the range of his claws and wait for him to attack you and then immediately start casting your spell. Just like that. Again, don't worry if you're hit with the first attack, it won't do too much damage. And you should also try to bait the activation of the soul arrows and then dodge them before you start casting your spell, just to be extra safe. Well, there you have it. If you want to use a bow, you can just do the same thing we did with the magic strat. I won't be making another video, since it would be basically the same thing. We'll again have to time our shots so they hit while he's doing something. By the way, the trick we used against the Man-Eater to hit him with arrows from outside the boss room won't work here. The arrows can't pass through this fog gate. Well, that's all I wanted to say about this boss fight. It's not particularly difficult, but there are some things you need to know about this boss. If the video was helpful to you, I would appreciate it if you press the like button and subscribe to my channel. And as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this boss fight. Goodbye and see you next time!